Very good evening, everyone. Today we are going to talk about one of the very important cardiovascular disorder, that is a myocardial infarctions. In pathology, myocardial infarctions described as necrosis of the myocardial layer of the heart. As we know, the myocardial infarction is one of the world leading cause of the death. So today we are going to discuss about normal structure and function of the heart, followed by definition of the myocardial infarctions, risk factor and causes of the myocardial infarctions, pathogenesis, morphology of myocardial infarctions, signs and symptoms of the myocardial infarctions, and diagnosis and its complications, and end up with the top 3 questions. So let us study the simple normal structure and function of the heart. Heart is the muscular pump that ejects the blood through the circulatory system. It has 4 chambers, 2 atrium and 2 ventricle, and have 4 valves. The heart consists of 3 layers, normally from inside to the outside. Endocardium, that is the inner thin layer. Myocardium, that is the middle muscular layer. And the third part, it is the pericardium, outer productive layer. So you can see this is the innermost layer, that is the endocardium. So for our understanding, endocardium is divided into the 2 parts. One is the made up of endocardium, another one is the subendocardial layer. In subendocardial layer, presence of Purkinje fibers, nerves and vessels and loose connective tissue. So the endocardium, for our understanding, we made into the 2 parts. One is endothelial layer and another one is the subendothelial layer. And myocardium, the myocardium is made up of the cardiomyocytes, and pericardium made up of the 2 layers. One is the epicardial layer, that is the visceral pericardium, and there is a parietal pericardium. In between the visceral pericardium and parietal pericardium, there is a presence of the pericardial cavity, so that in the pericardial fluid will be present around normally 10 to 30 ml of the water. So this is the normal 3 layer of the heart. So in myocardial infarction, this myocardial layer will be involved mainly along with the subendocardial layer. So that is the main pathology live in the myocardial infarctions. We'll study certain fact in the normal structure. As we studied, Purkinje fibers present into the subendocardial layer, hence damage of this layer leads to arrhythmia. Very important physiological point. And subendothelial area of endocardial layer are most vulnerable to infarctions because it receives the blood only during the diastoles. So this is the physiological, normal physiology we should know in order to understand the myocardial infarction in detail. So this subendocardial layer most vulnerable to infarctions, that is due to blood that receive the blood only during the diastoles. Another one, the myocardial layer made up of the cardiomyocytes and containing numerous mitochondria which responsible for source of ATP via aerobic respirations. So the myocardial layer is made up of cardiomyocytes. These cardiomyocytes have the numerous mitochondria, and that is the sources of the ATP via the aerobic respirations. The rod-like unit of muscle layer, that is the cardiomyocytes, makes the some unit, rod-like unit. That unit is known as the myofibrils. This containing actin, myosin and troponin filaments. So hence damage of leads to diagnostic identifications. So this physiological point is very important because damage of this myocardial layer that leads to expression of troponin into the serum, that you can identify the diagnostic identifications. So this is a very important physiological point. So let us discuss about the heart, the blood supply, heart blood supply. So this is the heart blood supply receiving from the greater aorta. From this, the coronary artery divided into the 2 main group, that is the left coronary artery and right coronary artery. So the left coronary artery again divided into the two branches. That is, one branch is the left anterior descending artery and another branch is the left circumflex artery. So here we need to study very basic understanding. The anterior aspect of the or anterior wall of the heart is supplied by the left anterior descending artery, and the lateral wall of the heart supplied by the left circumflex artery, and the inferior wall or you can known as the posterior wall supplied by the right coronary artery. So that's about the normal function, structure and function. Let us go for the definition of the myocardial infarctions. It is a type of ischemic heart disease, otherwise known as the coronary artery disease, where ischemia of the myocardial layer of the heart due to partial or complete coronary artery occlusion by various causes, which leads to irreversible death of myocardium or heart muscles. In simple, it is a necrosis. So it is a 3 point is very important. It is a type of ischemic heart disease, and ischemia of the myocardial layer due to partial or complete occlusion of the coronary artery leads to irreversible death of myocardium or necrosis of the myocardium. This is a simple definition of the myocardial infarctions. In commonly, it is known as the heart attack. Normally, we will call it as the heart attack. The myocardial infarctions are most common in left ventricle and right atrium. The reason is behind the right ventricle wall thickness is 0.3 to 0.5 centimeter. That is a thin layer, whereas the left ventricle wall is the thick layer, consists of around 1.5 centimeter. So that requires more oxygen. Hence, the left ventricle is the more prone to get the myocardial infarctions. Another one is the right atrium. Right atrium gets the deoxygenated blood, and left atrium gets the oxygenated blood with relations to the heart or lungs. So that is the reason right atrium get deoxygenated blood. So the myocardial infarction is more common into the right atrium. So simple understanding, it may be important for the future MCQ. So the myocardial infarction is most common into the left ventricle as well as into the right atrium. Now we'll go for the type of myocardial infarctions. So myocardial infarction, for our understanding, we divided into the 3 types. One is depend upon the anatomical region, second one degree of the thickness, and third one age of the infarctions. Now let us study one by one. First we will study about the anatomic regions. Based on the anatomic regions, as we studied, the anterior wall is supplied by the left anterior descending artery. That this myocardial infarction is more common into the anterior wall. 40 to 50% of the myocardial infarction is from the anterior wall, that is a partial or complete occlusion of the left anterior descending artery. Next one, the right coronary artery supplies to the inferior wall, as we studied earlier. So that 30 to 40% of the myocardial infarctions due to occlusion of the right coronary artery, or the inferior wall or posterior wall will be involved. Third one, it is the lateral wall is supplied by the left circumflex artery. The 15 to 20% of the myocardial infarctions leads to occlusion of the left circumflex artery. That means the lateral wall will be involved. So based on the anatomical region, we can divide it into the anterior wall, inferior wall, and lateral wall. And degree of the thickness. So based on the degree of the thickness, we divided into the very important transmural infarction, that is a 95%, and subendocardial infarction, that is a 5%. So the transmural infarctions, otherwise known as the Q-wave myocardial infarction or ST elevation myocardial infarction, that is STEMI, and full thickness myocardial infarctions. And subendocardial infarctions, otherwise known as the non-Q-wave myocardial infarction or non-ST elevation myocardial infarction, or partial thickness of the myocardial infarction. So the clinically this 2 type of the myocardial infarction is a very important. So let us see the characteristic of both. The transmural infarction is due to mainly complete occlusion of the coronary artery or narrowing of the coronary artery, where there is a subendocardial infarction is the partial thickness of the coronary artery, or otherwise known as the hypoperfusion. So here it is a very important. Here it is the transmural is the complete occlusion, and subendocardial it is a partial occlusion. Another differentiation is the transmural thickness involvement of the entire thickness of the myocardium. Where there is a subendocardial infarction is the involvement of the inner layer of the myocardium. That means the subendocardial layer will be involved. And another thing, the transmural infarction, otherwise known as the ST elevation myocardial infarction, that is a STEMI, where there is a subendocardial infarction, otherwise known as the non-ST elevation, that is a NSTEMI. So this is about the myocardial infarction depend upon the degree of the thickness. And third one, age of myocardial infarctions, divided into two types: newly formed acute or fresh infarction, or otherwise known as the second one, old, healed or organized myocardial infarction. So this is about the type of myocardial infarctions. Let us study about the risk factor and causes. Risk factor is for our understanding, we divided into the non-modifiable risk factor and modifiable risk factor. Non-modifiable risk factor, number one, family history of the heart disorders, age is more than 45 years, and the persons have hypertension and diabetes mellitus. So this and all comes under the non-modifiable. And modifiable, smoking, obesity, and stress and high lipid level. So this may leads to prone to get the myocardial infarctions. Causes, mainly 80 to 90% is the coronary atherosclerosis. The main causes of the myocardial infarction is the coronary atherosclerosis. Some of the other causes like coronary vasospasm, embolism, that carries a 10 to 20%. Now we study the pathogenesis in simple. The myocardial function, the main function of the myocardium is the contractions. So the myocardial functions mainly depend upon the oxygen and nutrition through the coronary blood supply. So the myocardial function is based on the coronary blood supply. When this coronary blood supply is disturbed, that leads to myocardial ischemia. So normally the myocardium can survive up to 15 to 30 minutes. If the blood supply is not received, the myocardium can survive up to 15 to 30 minutes. If the blood supply is not received more than 30 minutes, so what happens? That leads to hypoxia of the cardiomyocytes. As we know, myocardium is made up of the cardiomyocytes. So the hypoxia of the cardiomyocytes leads to necrosis of the myocardium. So this is mainly into the subendocardial area. So a reason we have studied into the physiology, the subendocardial layer receive the blood only during the diastole. So that is the reason the most of the myocardial infarctions occur into the subendocardial layer. So the necrosis of the myocardium. So the necrosis of the myocardium is nothing but we are calling as the myocardial infarctions. So this necrosis of the myocardium leads to the three pathogenesis. One is it stimulates the aerobic metabolism. As we studied, the myocardium consists of cardiomyocytes. These cardiomyocytes having the numerous mitochondria that is responsible for production of the ATP via aerobic respiration. But what happens? This necrosis of the myocardium leads to stimulation of the aerobic metabolism. So the stimulation of the anaerobic metabolism leads to increased the toxic product, that is the increased lactic acid productions. That is the one thing. Next one, liberation of the enzyme. As we studied, the myofibrils containing actin, myosin and troponin filaments. So this enzyme, when the necrosis of the myocardium leads to liberation of the troponin. That is one of the another pathogenesis. The third one, decreased myocardial contraction, that leads to decreased cardiac output. So the renal ischemia, that leads to the patients will get oliguria. So that three things leads to anaerobic metabolism, liberation of the enzyme and renal ischemia, that leads to clinical features and diagnostic point. So let us study about the morphology. There are three important basic morphology. Number one is the ischemic necrosis, usually the type of necrosis is the coagulative necrosis, very important for the MCQs. Ischemic necrosis, that is the coagulative necrosis. Second one, inflammation, the acute inflammations, usually the neutrophil will come to the play, that is a neutrophilic infiltration, and after 3 days it goes to the chronic inflammation, the macrophage infiltration takes place. That is the second one. And third one is a healing by the repair. So as we studied into the previous class, repair is nothing but it is a formation of the granulation tissue leads to the scar. So these are the three morphological features of the myocardial infarctions. So let us study into the diagrammatic representations. So this is the normal myocardium. So normal myocardium made up of the cardiomyocytes. So once it is a decreased occlusion of the coronary artery, that leads to coagulative necrosis. So this is a timeline. Within the coronary necrosis will occur, coagulative necrosis will occur within 12 to 24 hours of the occlusion of the coronary arteries. Then leads to 48 to 72 hours, that leads to the macrophages will surround the coagulative necrosis. You can see here it is a macrophages will surround the coagulative necrosis. So neutrophilic infiltration will occur 48 to 72 hours. That leads to within 2 to 3 weeks the formation of this coagulative necrosis is replaced by the repairing process will start. That is a formation of the granulation tissue. Then after 3 weeks the infected area, there is a myocardial infected area become scar mark. So this is the timeline of the myocardial infarction. So here things to remember, it is a three morphological. One is the formation of the coagulative necrosis. Second one, it is the acute inflammation or chronic inflammation. Third one, it is a granulation tissue and scar mark. So this is the simple morphological understanding of the myocardial infarction. So here, as we studied, 12 to 24 hours in macroscopic, the myocardium, it is the red purple area of the hemorrhage, and presence of the coagulative necrosis and neutrophilic infiltration develop within 12 to 24 hours. And 48 to 72 hours, pallor of the infected area, that is in the macroscopic, whereas in the microscopic is well developed coagulative necrosis with neutrophilic infiltrations. And 4th to 7th day, the necrotic area become bright yellow. This is very important for the MCQs. The myocardial infarct necrotic area of the myocardium, when will become bright yellow, it is on the 4th to 7th day. And in the microscopic, macrophages infiltration, because it is the macrophagic infiltration leads to phagocytosis of the necrosis of the myocardium. Then 2 to 3 weeks, infected area is replaced by the white fibrous scar and the granulation tissue in the infected area. And 4 to 6 weeks, the infected area healed by the fibrous scar and presence of the contracted fibrous scar. So this is about the important morphology. So this is the very important for the pathology, macroscopic understanding and microscopic understanding. By simple, I told you, one is a coagulative necrosis, second one is a neutrophilic and macrophagic infiltration, and then fourth one is the granulation tissue formation. So that's about the morphology of the myocardial infarctions. Certain change in the electron microscope. When we see into the myocardium into the electron microscope, we can change into the two type of changes. One is cellular changes, another one is the chemical changes. So cellular changes is within 5 minutes of myocardial infarction, the depletion of the glycogens in the myocardial fibers, and within 30 minutes, mitochondrium of the cardiomyocytes will be swelling and pycnosis of the cardiomyocytes or nucleus of the cardiomyocytes. So this is the cellular changes. And chemical changes is yearly, as we studied, depletion of the glycogen in the myocardial fibers, and so very important is the increased lactic acids, as we studied into the pathogenesis, how the lactic acid is increased, and decreased potassium and increased sodium and H2O into the myocardial fibers leads to swelling. It's a very important for the therapeutic management. And third one, it is the increased calcium in the myocardial fibers leads to irreversible cell injury. So these chemical changes we have to know in order to understand about the myocardium infarction in detail. Now diagnosis. So diagnosis of the myocardial infarction based on the three signs and symptom and ECG, electrocardiogram, and third one to identify the serum enzyme marker. So now we'll study one by one. Let us study about symptoms and signs and symptoms of the myocardial infarction. The prolonged cardiac pain extends to the arm or epigastrium or back. So simple we known as the angina. And the next one, nausea and vomiting, breathlessness, syncope, and oliguria. So this is some of the symptoms of the myocardial infarction, and some of the signs are signs of the myocardial dysfunction, that is the patients presented with the complaints of hypotension, increased jugular venous pressure, quiet first and loud third heart sound. Normally third heart sound will be the quiet and first heart sound will be the loud, but here just opposite, quiet first and loud third heart sound. And sign of sympathetic nervous system, cold clammy skin, and tachycardia and pallor. And the third one, sign of the tissue damage. Some of the patients will present with the complaints of the fever. So these are signs and symptoms. The next one is the electrocardiogram, ECG. So we have to know about the ECG properly in order to understand about or in order to diagnose the myocardial infarctions. So here I am just pertaining to the myocardial infarction I am explaining. So this is the ECG sheet. So this ECG sheets, there are two type of square. This is the small square, this is the small square. So this small square is the 1 mm that leads to 0.04 second, and one large square, that is the this is the one large square. This one large square made up of the 5 small square, made up of the 5 1 2 3 4 5, that is the 20 small square. So the duration of the timing is the 0.04 into 5, that is a 0.2 second. So this is the time is here, it is the 0.2 second, and one small square is leads to 0.4 second. So this is the x-axis is the time and y-axis is the amplitude, and amplitude one small square is 0.1 mV and one large square is 0.5 mV. So this is the basic of ECG sheet. Now we'll study about the normal ECG. In normal ECG, first let me talk about the normal ECG, then I will go for the myocardial infarction ECG. So this is a normal ECG. You can see there is a presence of Q wave. Normally Q wave will be less than 0.03 second. That means less than one small square. You can see here the Q wave present only into the less than one small square, and you can see this is the ST segment. ST segment is the starting from the J point to the starting of the T wave. So ST segment, the normal it is a 0.08 second. By normally we can say 2 small square. So here you can see the 2 small square is the normal, and the third one it is the T wave. T wave is the 0.2 seconds. That means it is a one large square. You can see approximately 1 2 3 4 5. So the 5. So the T wave is the 5 small one large square or 5 small square. ST segment is the 2 small square, and Q wave is the less than 1 small square. And this three thing is very important for the myocardial infarctions. Another one is the ST interval. ST interval is the difference. It is the starting of the end of the S wave and end of the T wave. This is a ST interval. There is a 0.32 second, that is a 8 small square. In myocardial infarction, this ST interval it is not important for myocardial infarction. This three it is the importance for the myocardial infarction. So this is about the normal ECG. Now we'll study about the abnormal ECG. That is a myocardial infarctions. As we studied, myocardial infarction is divided into the two types: transmural infarction and subendothelial infarctions. So transmural infarctions identified in the ECG by ST elevation and deep Q wave, and subendocardial infarction identified in the ECG by ST depression and T wave inversions. So let us study into the ECG. So this is a normal ECG, and here it is a transmural, that is a ST elevation myocardial infarction. You can see here this portion you can see this portion is the ST elevation. So ST elevation is a more than 0.08 second. That means it is more than 2 small square, more than 2 small square. So when it is occur, the questions will come. ST elevation when it is occurs. ST elevations occur into the after within hour of the myocardial infarction. So ST elevation is the one, it is more than 2 small square, it is known as the ST elevation myocardial infarctions. So in simple, ST segment elevations. So this is the ST segment, this is the ST segment. So the ST segment is more than or less than 2 mm in chest leads, that is a V1, V6, and less than 0.5 mm it is a AVL and AVR and AVF. So here things to remember, ST elevation. This is the number one. As we studied, the ST elevation myocardial infarction having 2 points. One is ST elevation. Another one is deep Q wave. So deep Q wave, as we studied, deep Q wave is the less than 0.3 small square. That is a 1 small square. It is a normal. But you can see it here. It is a 3 small square. So here it is a 3 small square. So this is known as the deep Q wave. So the questions will arise when the deep Q wave will occur. So the after 24 hours of the myocardial infarction, the deep Q wave will occur. So here is the second one, deep Q wave. So here the two ECG findings is important for identification of the ST elevation myocardial infarction. One is the ST elevation, another one is the deep Q wave. So deep Q wave, another one is the non-ST elevation myocardial infarction. The number one characteristic is the ST depression. As we studied, ST depression is the usually this is the ST depression. Normally we have seen it here, there is a no depression, but here there is a depression. So depression is a less than 0.08 second. So this is the first finding in the ECG finding to understand about the or diagnose the non-ST elevation myocardial infarctions. The second ECG finding is the T wave inversion. So you can identify here it is the T wave is the upward, and here you can see the T wave is the inversion. So the T wave inversion when will it occur? After the week of the myocardial infarctions. So there are two ECG finding in order to identify in order to diagnose the non-ST elevation myocardial infarction. One is the ST depression, another one is the T inversion. And here things to remember, normally T inverted into the AVR leads. So you should not get confused with this is the AVR, T inversion is a normal, that we have to understand. Okay. Now which leads can leads to the, as we studied about the anterior wall is supplied by the left anterior descending, and inferior or posterior wall supplied by the right coronary artery, and lateral wall supplied by the left circumflex artery, and the anterior wall is more common. Here you can see the changes, you can see whether it is a ST elevation or non-ST elevation, changes you can see V1 to V4, and if it is a septum involvement, there is a changes into the V1 or V2 chest leads. And if it is the inferior wall or posterior wall is involved, so changes you can see into the lead 2 and lead 3 as well as into the AVF. And the lateral wall myocardial infarction we can able to identify it by the chest leads like V5 and V6 and AVL and lead 1. So this is the whether it is a ST elevation or non-ST elevation myocardial infarction, with the presence of this corresponding leads we can able to identify which wall will be involved. Normally it is the anterior wall followed by the inferior wall and lateral wall. Here things we can ask, AVR is missing into the here. So the AVR is mainly for the left main branches. So left main branches involved into the AVR. So as we know, the left main branches, the left main branches are affected by the lateral wall as well as into the anterior wall, lateral wall. So that's about the ECG. Now next we'll go for the serum enzyme marker. So the serum enzyme marker, the first one as we studied, there are two things, troponin I and troponin T. So both will present at 4 to 6 hours after the myocardial infarction, and troponin I persists for 7 to 10 days, and troponin T persists for 7 to 14 days. This is important for the MCQs. And as we studied, the troponin normally present into the myofibrils of the myocardium. So when there is injury of the necrosis of the myocardial layer, there is a excretion of the troponin I and T into the serum. So that can be identified after the 4 to 6 hours of myocardial infarctions. And this is the sensitive and specific markers for the myocardial infarctions. Next one, it is the creatinine phosphokinase. Normally we call as a CK. For CK, for our understanding, we divided into the three type of CK. One is a CK-MM that is present into the skeletal muscles, and another one is a CK-BB that is present into the lung and brain. And very important for today's class, this is a CK-MB that is present into the cardiac muscles only. And CK-MB again further divided into the two. That is a CK-MB1 and CK-MB2. This is MB2. CK-MB1, it is a extra cardiac marker, and CK-MB2, it is a cardiac marker. So this cardiac marker present at 2 to 4 hours after the myocardial infarction and become normal in 48 hours, and it is very important for diagnosis of the acute myocardial infarctions. The next one, it is the myoglobin. It is present at 2 hours after myocardial infarction, return to the normal within 1 day, and it is a non-specific for the cardiac markers. And another one, it is the lactase dehydrogenase, that is a LDH1. It is present at 24 hours, within 24 hours, and return to normal within 10 to 14 days. So this is in order to diagnose the myocardial infarctions. The last one, it is a non-specific, that is a AST or SGOT, that is present at 6 to 12 hours after the myocardial infarction and return to normal 4 to 5 days of myocardial infarction. It is a non-specific cardiac marker. So here things to remember, it is a very important. Some of the other tests is a chest X-ray, that is in order to identify the enlarged heart or pulmonary edema, cardiac ultrasound to assist the ventricular function or to detect the complications, radionuclide ventriculogram to assess the ventricular function and prognosis of the myocardial infarctions. So simple understanding about the investigation flow charts. If the person's having the chest pain or angina for more than 20 minutes, immediately go for ECG. If the ECG have ST elevation, if the ST elevation is present, then the diagnosis is the ST elevation myocardial infarction. If the ST elevation is absent, so immediately we have to go for the cardiac enzyme, that is a troponin identification. If the troponin identification is yes or no, if the troponin identification is or it is not present into the serum, that means the patient suffering from unstable angina, and the troponin T and I it is present, then we can call it as the non-ST elevation myocardial infarction. And ST elevation myocardial infarction, we can see presence of the Q wave. If the Q wave is present, then we can tell it as the Q wave myocardial infarction. If the Q wave is absent, then we can say it is a non-Q wave myocardial infarction. This is the investigation flow charts in order to identify the type of the myocardial infarction. It is a very important for the diagnosis of the myocardium as well as to the therapeutic interventions. Now we'll see some of the complication of the myocardial infarction is arrhythmia, myocardial rupture and shock, mural thromboembolism, cardiac aneurysm, pericarditis, and Drussel's syndrome. That is a post myocardial infarction symptom. So most of the patients will suffer from Drussel's syndrome. This is nothing but pulmonary involvement will be present. So some of the homeopathic remedy help for the chronic myocardial infarctions. It is given into the boric, Aurum metallicum 30. It is high blood pressure, valvular lesions, arteriosclerotic natures. So when the main causes of the myocardial infarction is the atherosclerosis or arteriosclerosis. So this Aurum metallicum 30 can cure the myocardial arteriosclerosis or can eliminate the arteriosclerosis. And Both ropes, it's very important for symptomatology of the thrombosis, mainly hemiplegia, aphasia and inability to articulate. So this is a very important for emergency condition we can use for the both ropes lanciolators. And ars iode, myocardial degeneration and senile heart and arteriosclerosis. Crataegus act on the muscles of the heart, and in the heart arteriosclerosis said to have solvent power calcaneous deposits of the artery. So this is the very important information given by the Boehrig. It is said to the solvent power to dissolve the calcaneous deposit of the arteries. And strontium carp, arteriosclerosis, high blood pressure with flushed face, pulsating artery, threatened apoplexy. And the last one is the Strophanthus. It is an irritable heart of the tobacco smoker. These are some of the homeopathic remedy used for the myocardial infarction, are mainly used for the causes of the myocardial infarctions. So that's the end of today's lecture. So let us study about the summary of the myocardial infarction, what we studied till now. So myocardial infarction clinically classified into the transmural and subendocardial layer, depend upon the necrosis present into the layer. If it is the entire layer is involved, then it is known as a transmural. If only the subendocardial layer is involved, we are known as a subendocardial layer of the myocardial infarctions. ECG and serum cardiac markers are helpful for diagnosis of the myocardial infarction, especially for the early myocardial infarctions. And there are various surgical and non-surgical intervention available for the treatment of the myocardial infarctions. So that's about the end of the myocardial infarctions. So this is my reference. Thanks to those reference for making me to make beautiful myocardial infarctions lecture. So now time to discuss about the top 3 questions. So number 1 questions. The critical narrowing of the coronary vessels to cause angina is more than 80%, more than 70%, more than 60% and more than 50%. And question number 2, the reversible injury of myocardium occur at 2 hours, 5 hours, 30 minutes and 5 minutes. And third questions, the first enzyme to be raised in the myocardial infarction, very important for the most of the MCQs. The first enzyme to be raised in the myocardial infarction is myoglobin, LDH, troponin INT and CPK-MB. So post your answer into the YouTube information box, and if you are able to answer these 3 MCQs, that indicates that you can study the myocardial infarctions properly. So that's about end of my lecture. So thanks to all. Study well. So always remember the one quoting, knowledge is our power. So that's the end of my lecture. So next class I will come with another beautiful topic. So thanks to one and all.